Right, I'm going to show you how I do triple cover stitch on exercise wear. It's what you see on ready-made garments. And on the outside you can see there's the decorative stitch, which is actually the underside of triple cover stitch. And on the inside you have the regular 3 straight lines of stitching. It's actually really easy to do. So what I did was I cut out 2 sections of a leg pant, the front and the back, and I took a friction pen and a ruler and I marked 1/4 inch all the way along on the wrong side of one pant leg. And the reason for that is I'm going to butt the other fabric up to it. But before I do that, just to make this easier, I used 1/4 inch steamer seam and I just placed it along this edge. And I'm going to use it as a temporary hold to hold the 2 pieces together, just because it makes it easier. This is really good stuff. I like it. It's easier than pinning, much more accurate. And it's only temporary. It will come off again, wash off, come undone. So what I'm going to do is butt this fabric right up to the black line. And because it's in a friction pen, as soon as I put heat on it, it's going to disappear. And I know some people say you get a mark, but it's not going to show on the inside leg. We're going to sew over it. It's also good when you're using stripes because you can see what you're doing. So butting the fabric right up to the black line. This, as I said before, this line is 1/4 inch from the edge. I'm not going to worry too much about matching up these stripes up here because they're going to get sewn in anyway. So now it's all attached. If I turn it over, you'll see that the front and back leg are joined at the inside leg seam. So now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine. I'm working from this side because I want the underside to be the decorative stitch. I'm going to sew down here, and I'm going to give you a demonstration of that on the sewing machine. Whoops, I realize now that I told you I was taking you to the sewing machine. I didn't mean that. I meant the serger, of course. So here we are. We have this seam. You can see the raw edge, which was where the line was butted up to, or where the fabric was butted up to the line. And the secret here is to feed the fabric in so that this raw edge is between the 3rd and 4th notch. Remember, each of these notches represents a needle. There's needle 1, needle 2, and needle 3. And then I want the 3rd needle to be stitching on this piece of fabric, not fall off onto this section. So I'm going to feed the fabric in between the 3rd and the 4th. And I'd actually probably use my see-through foot, but it's much easier for you to see if I don't. So I've used a regular one. And I'm not going to worry about the needles, because if I look at the needles and things aren't right, it's too late anyway. Everything needs to be concentrated on this feed in. So if I feed it in right, it will sew right. Just a word, this fabric stretches in both directions, so I have got it on 1.3 on the differential feed. I've got my cover stitch. I've got quite a large cover stitch length. The length is 3. And remember that you do have a knob at the side here where you can reduce your needle tension for cover stitch. So if you get channeling, make it a bit looser. I've actually got mine on a 6 and it's going to work fine. And I have regular serger needles in my cover stitch needles, as I have to. So feeding this in between the 3rd and 4th. I'm just going to sew down. No, I'm not going at 90 miles an hour because I want to be careful that I keep it in the right place. And I always sew off onto a piece of fabric just because I find it easier. But let's show you again. There's the decorative stitch on that side. And on this side, you can see the 3 lines of stitching. And you have got a small raw edge, and you can trim it if you want. But it's still going to give you a flat seam that isn't going to chafe. Of course, you could also use flat lock stitch because that gives you a flat seam too. So what to do next? Right, now for the crutch seam. So I did exactly the same again. I marked a line 1/4 of an inch from the edge, put the steamer seam on. I've already done it on the back section and I've ironed it to seal it. I actually started at the crutch and went back where the seam is, and what's nice about this seam is it's nice and flat, so you have no trouble going over it. So, with my steamer seam on the front section, I'm going to do the same again. I'm actually going to start at the top and butt the fabric right up to that black line. My hands are probably hiding what I'm doing a bit, sorry about that. But you're just going to do exactly the same as you did in the inside leg. Butt the fabric up to the line, press it to keep it in place. And there you have the gusset seam, and you can see that this whole construction's been done flat. Nothing's been sewn together other than the inside leg and the gusset seam. So there you have it. And I'm now just going to take this to the sewing machine, serger, I keep saying sewing machine today. And I'm going to sew on the wrong side using the same system as I used for the legs. You can see here that I also hemmed this leg. I'm going to hem that flat. When I've done this, I'm then going to sew these edges using 4 thread safety and then do the waistband.